Number 13 Alabama beating number 15 Ole Miss 24-10 in this one. And Dalton, credit where credit is due, man. The Alabama offense showed up pretty well in this game.
They did. They're starting the right quarterback, right? Jalen Milroe is clearly the best quarterback of the bunch. You know, the two things we talked about last week in the preview, passing and pass protecting. Mm-hmm. Those two things were spectacular in this game. Milroe, an 82.4 grade, 6 explosive passes, 2 more explosive runs for him, 1 on a scramble. He's just, if you have a quarterback problem, just play the best athlete and let him do what he does, right? He makes big plays. It might be few and far between. Might take some patience. You know, he might make some bad throws in between. But he's their most explosive player right now. I mean, McClellan's really good. He gets the gritty yards. He had another 100-yard day. But Milroe has to be the guy. He just does. He brings a level of athleticism with the arm strength and the feet where he could look. He's a 60-yard touchdown waiting to happen. I think it's very, very much like Anthony Richardson. I do. I just think he gives them the best chance, and that's been made clear now. Really could have saved the embarrassment versus USF, but it's very clear now. You just beat probably the third best team in the SEC West handily for the most part, especially in the second half. Run the ball, defense, play action, occasional explosive play. And I'll give credit to their offensive line, too, an 84.3 pass blocking grade. That's far exceeding what I was expecting. Honestly, it's as good as they've been in a while. I don't really understand what Ole Miss was doing because they only brought 5 rushers 4 times the entire game. I don't understand that at all. And on those 4 times, on those 4 plays, they got a sack, a hit, and another pass rush win. So Ole Miss came in to me with the wrong plan up front. You know, Milroe wants to hold the ball forever and wreak havoc late in the play. Go get him. I have no idea what Ole Miss was looking at going into this game plan for Bama's offensive line. But credit to Alabama, you know, all those times with 4 or less rushers. On the plays with 4 pass rushers or less, pass blocking grade was above a 92. So they can block 4 guys. Why keep sending only 4? I'm not really getting what Ole Miss was doing, but credit to Alabama. 3 things dominated this game. Milroe with the explosives. Their pass protection was way, way, way better, miles better than we've seen the first 3 games. And their secondary, they're the highest graded coverage unit in the country now. Alabama's secondary is nasty. They didn't give up a deep ball all day. They, the combination of McKinstry and Moore and Arnold and Downs and all these guys, they only allowed into their coverage when any of the corners or safeties were in the primary coverage, only allowed a 54.1 passer rating. Their secondary, good luck getting over the top on them. I think right now for what they're trying to do, it's a perfect complement to Milroe and to the running game and keeping everything in the box right now. If they're not going to make a ton of big plays and be real efficient offensively, well, don't give any up either. And I think they're starting, maybe, just maybe, Alabama's figuring out the right style of ball they need to be playing to win games, especially with Milroe at quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned it. I mean, credit where credit's due, man. That Alabama offense really stepped up. Milroe played really well. You saw the numbers right there. The offensive line, 14% pressure rate allowed in this game. They entered the game with a 38% pressure rate allowed, which was the 3rd worst in the Power 5. So offensive line really stepped up. But I do agree with you, man. Pete Golding, who, by the way, last year was Alabama's defensive coordinator. Now he's Ole Miss's defensive coordinator. I don't know what he was doing, man. Maybe he had some love there for Nick Saban and said, okay, I'm not going to try to expose you too much in this game. I don't know what it was, man. But like you mentioned, they did not send the house. We mentioned it last week, how bad Alabama's O-line is when you send 5 or more rushers. And Ole Miss only doing that 4 times in this game is awful, man. That's the book is out on Alabama's O-line, and Ole Miss just did not read it, apparently. So, Alabama's offense played well. Ole Miss's scheme wasn't great either, but you play with what you got, man, and Alabama's offense did very, very well with what they had. So I was happy to see that for Jalen Milroe and for that offense to finally get something going. Listen, Milroe's still a roller coaster. I mean, he had 1 turnover-worthy play, which is better than what he's done recently, but that 1 turnover-worthy play was still bad, man. It was that pick in the end zone that was a terrible decision by him, throwing in double coverage. But again, he's a roller coaster. The highs are high with him. The highs are very high. The lows are very low. But those highs you can't find anywhere else in this quarterback room right now. So he is the right quarterback to play for the rest of the season. I think today that game proved that. And Alabama's defense, man, they stood tall. Quinshon Judkins, the star running back for Ole Miss, 56 yards on 13 carries. Jackson Dart, 67.9 passing grade in this one. This is how Alabama wins. This is the way Alabama wins. Outstanding defense, like you mentioned with that coverage unit, and an offense that can do just enough. And I don't even think Alabama's run game was that great in this one. Milroe made the passes when he needed to. Very encouraging bounce back for the Crimson Tide. Very, very encouraging.